twin stream, gonna brighten up our day. Brighten up our day. We're a family united, bringing joy and cheer. Joy and cheer. Rocking in the chat room, feel the love right here. Right here. Well, you've been with your head big being so fine, and your hair flowing down like a waterfall divine. You're a twin streamer with a heart of steel, but it's fate that makes your senses real. With each bite you take a trip to the stars. The sizzle of the grill, it heals your battle scars. A love affair between man and meat. Your passion for steak can't be beat you, yeah. Oh yeah. You will be, you're a meat lover through and through. You crave that sizzling flavor, it's true. With your hair and your beard so wild, you're the steak-loving heartthrob of the twin stream. Ah. You're a steak-loving heartthrob of the twin stream. Ah. When the moon rises high and bright, you wield your fork like a knight in meaty fight. The grill becomes your battlefield, flames ablaze. And the steak, oh the steak, it's your trophy, your praise. Ooh yeah. You'll be, you're a meat lover through and through. You crave that sizzling flavor, it's true. With your hair and your beard so wild, you're the steak-loving heartthrob of the twin stream. Ah. keeps on playing like there's nothing wrong. His reactions are priceless, they make us all smile. Even if he's failing in every game style. Game on you, you're a gaming catastrophe. But we love you for the laughs and the hilarity. You may not win, but you always bring the cheer. So grab your controller, let's play, my dear. UB's controllers covered in dust and grime. Ooh, yeah. He's been gaming since back in '89. Ooh, yeah. Our gaming grandpa with wisdom to share. But now he's lost in pixels with his flowing locks of hair. Through the highs and the lows, UB's always there. With a smile on his face and his wild untamed hair. From the retro classics to the games that are new, he's the heart of our gaming crew. Cream on you, you're a gaming catastrophe. But we love you for the laughs and the hilarity. You may not win, but you always bring the cheer. So grab your controller, let's play, my dear. Oh yeah! Gaming catastrophe. When it comes to skill, he's got none. Gaming catastrophe. Heart of our gaming crew. Gaming catastrophe. When it comes to skill, he's got none. Gaming catastrophe. Heart of our gaming crew.
The following film is presented in its complete theatrical version. It was rated R by the MPAA and may not be appropriate for children under 17. It is rated TV MA LSV and contains strong language, sexual situations, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay.
Now, check it out! Vanilla Thunder in the house! Dusted, ready for bed, button full of bars flowing from his head. Got hair flowing and long. He's dropping jokes and songs of bombs. He's tired, kinda like milk that's expired. Vanilla Thunder from the plains of Texas. Vanilla Thunder is coming Lexus. Vanilla Thunder, big catastrophe. That's just who he is. Our boy Ubi.
That's me, your boy Ubi. Ubi, how you doing? It is a Tuesday night. I really need to make the opening look like a Titantron so I can kind of feel like I've got a wrestler entrance with the theme song. Speaking of theme song, I think I might throw it open to the community to maybe, just maybe, write Ubi a new theme song. I like this idea. I like this idea a lot. Hi there, everybody. So far, we've got quite a few folks. We got Chris, we got GMG, Brian searching for Tone, we got Jeremy from Puck to String, Ted is here, Will Red, Steve Gunner the Tooth. I think I saw Honey Tap pop in there for a moment, although that might have been a mistake. That's okay. Yeah. So it is Tuesday, and we will get right into the tech talk since we only have half an hour, which is okay. It's all right with me. Hopefully, audio and everything are fine this evening. So, a discussion. Well, first off, let's get this out of the way. Um, Rest in peace to Ozzy Osbourne, who we lost today. I did post a short of myself absolutely butchering his. I actually want that one. Absolutely butchering the solo for "Mama, I'm Coming Home." I was actually trying to record the whole thing, and it wasn't coming along. So I did the solo, and I'll still work on the other at some point in time. I'll maybe actually release that. So Tuesday, yes. There was a discussion in the Searching for Tone Discord where they were not necessarily being really negative about digital um, guitar chains and guitar rigs, but it definitely was talking about how some digital rigs, especially ones that are used for gigging, pushing a front of house amp, PA system, those sort of things, they kind of sound sterile, and that's a legit thing. That is actually a very legit thing, especially with the amp modelers that are not based off of the neural model versions, because when you look at it, there are two major amp modelers out there, styles of amp modelers. You've got the ones that are being used in things like Amplitube and Tonex, well, not necessarily Tonex, but Amplitube and THU and those type there, which are actually a mathematical formula based amp. So they take what each component, whether it be a tube or a solid state circuitry or those sort of things, and they kind of recreate them with just simple ones and zeros. This is how much electricity that should be able to flow through here. So that's the waveform should, be that part. So because of that, they are a touch sterile because there's no warmth nuance. For example, when they heat, they don't heat up. Um, they don't obviously they don't have power sag. They don't have these sort of things. Whereas with the neural versions, they're actually machine language learned, so they actually have a full dynamic of what's there. It's kind of more like of a mimic. Like, for example, if like when you're trying to play a cover, when you're actually trying to mimic another guitarist and get as close to that as you possibly can. So because of that, if you're using like NAM or Neural DSP or anything along those lines, you're going to have a little bit more of a warm sounding, not necessarily an actual analog sound, but it's going to have less of a sterile, more of a living, breathing style sound just because of the way that is. So generally, if you run into somebody who does have what sounds like a sterile digital rig, they're using a more numerical based emulation for the way the amplifiers and the cabs um, how they work together. Also, they're probably using really crappy stock IRs as well, which is the impulse response, which is basically a recording of what a cabinet sounds like, or at least what it should sound like, and how it shapes a particular tone or sound. So, one of the things that I want to talk about is ways that if you are using a more emulated digital rig, you can still inject a little bit more living presence to it that will make it sound less sterile, a little bit more of an actual living, breathing feel to it. Now, again, obviously, this is not going to ever be as the same as an actual analog cab because, I mean, there's things you just can't deal with. The acoustics of a room changing because you're in a different room, for example, or the way that the speakers push against the air. A different humidity makes things sound different. The different heat in the room makes things sound differently. So there's certain aspects that you can never actually kind of get in there. So there's parts that make that living, breathing sound that are just out of our reach as far as emulating. But you can go a long way towards putting in a little bit more of an analog feel into your setup. Now, I don't have a lot in my chain that you see here in front of me, because I am using neural amp modeler. I'm using a NAM for mine. So it does a better job of being more of a living, breathing digital rig. But one of the important parts is when you are shaping your tone in there, you don't want to put in, especially if you're on like these emulated amps, you don't want to put in quite as much compression on them, because the more you compress and squeeze into it, yeah, you're going to get probably a better sounding distortion to it, but you're also bleeding out any little nuanced sounds, any little transient sort of sounds that are being injected into your model. So the step one is obviously use a compressor, but don't go overboard with the compressor. Second thing that you can do to add in some warmth is adding in, awesome. We have a great friend over on the, we have a wonderful friend over on our vertical stream. Sweet. We can just do that. Go. Pop that in there. Excellent. And we'll hide them. There we go. So, where was I? Oh, yes. Talking about other ways that you can add in some additional warmth. So, one of the things that you can do is use saturation plugins. There are two really good styles of saturation: your standard saturation and tape saturation. I lean more heavily onto the tape saturation simply because it does a good job of injecting kind of pseudo fake transients into your sound. So because of that, you can it will kind of emulate extra little bits of your sound that will help give it less of a rigid feel, less of that sterile feel there. It's something that's used quite often in engineering, especially audio engineering, for recording in studios specifically, especially whenever they're using the using plugins and the like post processing, because that will add a little bit more of that sterility to it. So, yeah, and yes, Warheart, you do need to be careful with the amount of saturation you put into it, but it is a way to inject a little bit more of an authentic, kind of a live feel into your sound. Maybe not necessarily live's not really the word I'm looking for, but more of an analogy feel into it. Tape saturation specifically because it does kind of mimic a little more of what you're used to for old school recording, especially like if you're a big 80s or 70s style, somebody who grew up in those time period and are really looking at the way that they recorded things back in that way. A lot of recording was done off of tape, so a lot of that sound that you feel in those recordings is baked into that tape hardware. So there are a couple of good tape saturation free plugins out there. I don't have a particular one that I suggest, but there are some really good ones out there. And the reason why I don't have a specific one that I suggest is because each one of them brings something different. So your sounds may or may not be helped by what they bring into you. But use your tools for finding those. Do a Google search. I think there is a tape saturator from Melda. If I remember correctly, that I've used in the past that was okay, but the ones that I found were all just found using searches. So, but again, it's kind of buyer beware. If you're recording, say off of Cakewalk, they have some good saturators in its mastering tools that come built in with it. So you might want to look at those as well. So that's kind of the key on that particular subject as far as sterile digital change. And the reason, it comes up really at the end of the day, what matters is, do you like the way it sounds? Not necessarily does everybody like the way it sounds. The question is, do you personally like the way it sounds? If that's the case, then it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. But if you personally feel that your sound's a little bit on the sterile side, then you absolutely are going to want to look at injecting a little bit of saturation. And when I say a little, I literally mean that, a little. Do not go overboard with saturation. There's nothing that will kill your sound like way too much saturation. This is another thing that underscores the mastering pass, especially when you're doing recording type session. When you're live, obviously it's kind of hard to do a mastering pass. That's why I do have a mastering tool at the end of my chain there. But yeah, so there we go. We're going to open up the rest of it to questions. Does anybody have any questions about Sterile digital audio chains? Any questions about any sort of saturation techniques? Any questions actually about digital chains in general? Just as usual, obviously I'm here to answer any questions you may or may not have. So likely somebody who's actually on the road, a sound guy at a board is probably going to use either an actual saturation plugin, kind of like I'm talking about, or they may be using it literally might be using it like an external loop that goes into an effects pedal. Keith wants me to answer the question he had from Discord. I don't have my Discord up. You were asking about line using instrument or line for the gain on your input, correct? I usually kill my my Discord because it kills my my upload speeds for some reason. That's the one you're asking me about. Yeah, see, Spark, the Spark one, the Spark does have some decent amount of character to it, but you also have to realize, Tap, is that not only do you have the character from the amp itself, but you also are using a physical, an actual physical speaker off of that Spark, so that helps give it some of that character as well. That's a really good thing. So yeah, Keith was asking. So Keith had a question about, for example, if you use I've got one sitting right here next to me. This is Ted's Focusrite, which is about to be packed up. But so if you've got a Focusrite like this, let me turn it so we got some light on it. So your input here has a button that will turn on a instrument mode. So he was asking, what's the big difference between those two? There's always, moving forward, BBM, there will always be two feeds. So the big difference between the two is the amount of headroom they give you. So under an instrument, it actually takes a flat response from the instrument, which has significantly more of an upper headroom, because it's assuming that either you're going to be going in from a regular guitar, which may or may not have a lot of power, or it might be coming in from something a little hotter, say like a from out of a pedal or an amp. So it gives you higher headroom in there for room to work with. If you're not, if you don't use the instrument mode, it will it gives it a slight boost to the signal that is coming in. So it won't be a problem. It really is only a major problem if you're using one of those inputs without using an instrument. Obviously, if you're using an instrument, you'll want to use the instrument line in, because it's designed specifically for that. But I just realized nobody on the horizontal stream saw that. So I'm talking about right here, the input, and then this button. If you go online and ask people about it, you're going to get a bunch of jargon about differences in impedance and resistance and those sort of things. What you need to know as a layman is that instrument is more designed literally for an instrument. If you're going to go more with a microphone, you don't want to use the instrument style. Simply because it will give it a little bit more of a lift, a little bit kind of like a preampy type effect to it. And that's going to be much better. Any other questions? Hasn't cleared up in a week. Give it another week. Wash it really good with soap and some Bactine if you've got it. Regarding BPM when doing tracking, how to adjust the blocks in the DAW to reflect the BPM. So that's going to mainly depend on which DAW you're using, because they are all different in those. For example, for Cakewalk, you can bring up there's a BPM selection where you can highlight sections of track, and then set a particular BPM to it, and it will make that one section that particular BPM. And you can have multiple different sections. Reaper has something that's similar, but I don't use Reaper enough to tell you exactly where that's at. And obviously, if you're using something outside of those DAW, you'll want to take a look at the various documentations on those. Oh, that sucks, Jade. I guess what we could do an unboxing. Do we want to do an unboxing? I have a box that was sent to me with an interface in it, I believe. We can do an on-stream unboxing if I can get to it without killing myself. I have box. I've also got a new credit card from PayPal. No, you may not have this. I am not Brian. All right, where did my knife go? There it is. Yes, but your box is a little bigger than mine, Chris. Genetics. Where do you think I got the card from, Keith? All right. He sent me packing peanuts. Man, I'm going to need that because we're about to pack up Ted's J-Rig tonight, and we're going to get it shipped off tomorrow. Brian has sent us for our perusal pleasure. Let's get off of that one and switch to this screen. The iRig Pro Duo IO. Now this is Brian's interface, so I will be sending it back to him. I will not be keeping this. So one of the things that I will be looking at this for, and this is kind of interesting that I'm going to have to go out and find one. It has a MIDI interface on it. It has a MIDI input on it. So I'm going to need to go out and get a physical manual MIDI device to use with it to make sure it works. That is actually something I'm interested in because I was looking at the options for adding a MIDI foot switch to the J-Rig, and the USB options just suck. So we will need to go with a true MIDI option. That's what it looks like. Got 2 inputs. Got a headphone jack and volume knob on this side. You've got output for monitors on this side. And your phantom power switch is right there. And up top, we have a power supply, the small and the MIDI inputs, both the little inputs and the big one, and also a power jack. So it's a nice, compact little unit. Battery as well. Ubi just got some rechargeables, so he'll probably be using it in these. First thing I noticed is this. It's a plastic case, but it's a pretty sturdy plastic case. It's not thin like I thought it was going to be. I would have liked to have seen a 1/4-inch headphone jack rather than the 1/8-inch headphone jack. But that's not a deal breaker. It's got direct monitor switch, so you can turn that off. This does do a loop back return. I will need to look it up, but I'm wondering if you only plug into one of the 2 monitor ports, if it will do a mono sum on it. We'll find that out. A lot of them will do. So we have dials here for the gain on the individual channels, and these up here are multi-purpose lights, if I remember from the documentation on it. No, like I said, the credit card's not there. The credit card's here. Credit card's right here. So that is neat. We will be doing a full deep dive on it, both from just a general usage standpoint, but also I will be evaluating if it's something that I would want to put as an option on the J-Rig, which will tell you a lot about what I actually think about it more than anything. If I say, yes, I would actually add this as a potential option for the J-Rig, that'll tell you what I think about it. Because I will not offer things on my products that I don't believe are going to work out of the box, be easy to use and maintain, and more importantly, will last. Because I don't want anybody getting something from me and then say, Ubi sold me crappy product and it lasted for 2 weeks and died. I don't want that to happen. All right, any other questions? Anybody, anything they want to shill? We can do a round of shilling here. We got Ted's live stream coming up after this. Hopefully Ted is good to go. He told me he was good to go. What is for dessert? I don't know yet, because I'm going to be honest. As soon as we're done here, Brandy and I are leaving and going someplace that has air conditioning, because I need to get out of this heat. I am melting. Yes, chill away. Here is there's Ted's live stream. I would say it's not 42. That much I can guarantee for you. Cookie dough ice cream. Ooh, that's pretty good. Yeah, wherever we don't even know where we're going yet. It just has to have a. It's got a place that we can sit in for a little bit, sit down, and enjoy the air conditioning. I will be at Ted's live on my phone. As far as the channel here, we have Wednesday coming up, the normal Wednesday noon stream. I will absolutely have a Fire and Forge video up on Thursday. I'm working on it right now. Friday, of course, our normal stream, and then Saturday, the interview show. Do any of you, if any of you are interested in being on the interview show, please email me, theubi@gmail.com. Thank you, Brant. We definitely need to just have a little time in it. Yeah, the heat is going to suck. We did actually purchase another fan today. So I think I've got my my airflow is a lot better. Now, I can already feel how much cooler it is in here now that I've got the air circulating around the apartment. The better now. This fan here is an exhaust. It's blowing out because my computer builds up so much heat. And so what I've got in the living room, where it's a much larger space, and we have the busted air conditioner that at the very least does dehumidify the air a little bit. It makes it feels a little cooler in there. So I bought 2 new box fans. One of them is in there that blows the air into my hallway, and then there's another one in the hallway blowing that air into this room. So there we go. The only problem with that is Tap. We looked at one of those, and we seriously thought of getting it, but our apartment complex would kick us out if we put one in the window. That's actually in the rules. So the window one would be outstanding. Yeah, see, a floor unit is possible because we can hide that a little easier. It just needs the exhaust little thing. So swamp cooler won't help here, Chris. I love swamp coolers, and they were the absolute most wonderful thing in our lives when we lived up in the mountains. But we're at almost 80% humidity outside. A swamp cooler isn't going to do a damn thing for us. I have frozen blocks of ice in the freezer that I put in front of the fan when I really need it, and they barely adjust. They barely do anything about. They barely do anything at all about the heat here. Yeah, Will. That the dehumidifier on that unit in the front works good. You can tell the difference up front. My landlord is fine, Jeremy. It's not the landlord. It's a situation with our lease situation. We are not on the lease. We're technically not really supposed to be living where we're living. We're not squatting. There is a leaseholder, but the leaseholder doesn't live where we're at. And so because of that, getting them to go turn in a work order is next to impossible. So all right, we're going to wrap it up. I will once again post the link to Ted's Live. Let's all rally up over there. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. We had some really good questions tonight. Hopefully, I gave you some information on how to make your digital audio chain that much less sterile, make it a little more breathing and living thing. But you know what? Sometimes that sterile precision feeling, it's not necessarily a bad thing. So. But I'll see everybody over on Ted's. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We're going to get on out of here. And yeah, it's, you know what? I don't hide from who I am, Tap. We're struggling to make it. And I don't have the money to move into my own place. I don't have the money for anything. That's one of the reasons why I'm working so hard to get the J-Rig off the ground. I need another revenue stream. And that's just where we're at. That's not I'm not trying to give you a sob story. That's just where we're at, man. So anyways, I want to thank everybody for watching. Yes, please hit that like button. Don't forget about our Patreon. Let me give a quick shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. In the VIP section, we got our non-supporter. Front row, Rob F., CD Nelson, and general admission, we got Brian, Steve, and Keith. And hanging out in the parking lot, Sean, Brant, Ted, and John Dotson. So thanks each and every one of you for supporting the channel. And thank you if you're a free member, because you're just as awesome as everybody else. So once again, thanks for being here for Tech Talk. Let's go listen to TED Talk, and we'll see you next time.